Hey, y'all. It's Juanita Coley, the founder of Solid Rock Consulting, where we help call centers implement technology, optimize the technology that they currently have in place, and build better workforce management teams. I want to welcome you to Call Center Chronicles. Call Center Chronicles is a place for CEOs, call center professionals, tech leaders, and yes, the customer looking to have fun yet thought-provoking conversations around how we improve customer experiences and companies' bottom line. We are on a mission to normalize women in tech and workforce management leadership roles, and we believe that that starts with conversation. Welcome to Call Center Chronicles. Hey, guys, and welcome to episode 10. We have hit show 10 of Call Center Chronicles, and I am super excited that you are here. Let's hop right in. I'm super excited about this show. You guys know that I am a techie little girl here. So, anytime we get to talk about technology and how that impacts the lives of our contact centers and customers in their real lives, I'm all for it. Okay. So today we have James Wilson. I'm going to introduce him on the show, or allow him to introduce himself.
Hey, Juanita, I'm James Wilson. I'm with CallCenterPros, and we're an AI company. We work with specialty call center solutions. There's 3 different German software vendors that we work with, and we're introducing them to America.
Cool. So, James, you already know, if you watch the show, okay? If you watch the show that we drop gems on the show. So I'm super excited about all of the stuff that we're going to cover today. I have worked out some questions because I love talking about AI. AI has been one of those things that has been kind of developing over, the last few years and kind of taking more of the forefront. So I want to really dive into that a little bit more deeper. So we'll have some conversation about that. But before we do, just tell me a little bit more about yourself and what you do at CallCenterPros, because I know you're doing some stuff with CallCenterPros. You also have some AI stuff that you're doing. So tell me a little bit more about what you have going on these days.
Let me just give you a background of me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm in a wheelchair. I fell down an elevator shaft in the Czech Republic in 1999. Luckily, I was a prior service in Desert Storm in the Army.
Wow. So thank you so much for your service.
I didn't have insurance in the U.S. I had my insurance overseas. So I got back into the VA system. And so for me, CallCenterPros is about also helping that veteran, the disabled veterans. So that's kind of my calling, and that's why I really wanted to, get in front of your show and meet with you and have this dialogue. Wow,
that is, my mind is, again, we have to get the mind blown emojis, okay, guys? That's like the story in and of itself. I want to dig a little bit deeper into that. So you say you were in the Czech and you fell down. You said elevator shaft?
Yeah, my condo was being remodeled, and I was running up the stair timer. The hallway lights went off. I got to the 5th floor, and there was a ramp in front of the elevator shaft. I tripped on the ramp and reached for the wall, and it was just an open shaft. So I fell from the 5th floor to the sub-basement about 85 feet.
Oh my
God. Lucky to be alive. Yeah.
Blessed.
So, yeah, absolutely.
So, so sorry to hear that.
6, 7, 8.
What was the recovery process like from that?
I was in the hospital for 30 days there. And then the Paralyzed Veterans of America paid a nurse to fly me home on Delta. So we rented out like 6 seats. They folded them all down and, rode back on the stretcher. It's pretty unbelievable. I can't say enough about, the Paralyzed Veterans of America. What a great organization they've been, supporting me over the years.
So from that experience, so you went through the recovery, and how long ago has that been now, James?
So I was disabled in September of '99, and then about a month and a half in Czech Republic, then 3 months of rehab in Augusta, Georgia, and then I had 7 pulmonary embolisms. My heart stopped 7 times with blood clots, and so when I woke up, they had me tied down so tight I had to go through rehab for another 2 or 3 months. Just to get my hands working again. So
Wow.
I am a quadriplegic, but with pretty good hands.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
you
amazing.
don't know. Yeah. So,
You're amazing. So that just has my brain going in so many different directions now. So what was it about call centers in your story that made you begin to start Call Center Pros and get
Right.
into AI and all? What was it about that?
So I had a company in Czech Republic. It was on callback, and callback is basically in the '90s when you were making a call to the United States, it was expensive from another country, but calling from the United States to that country was very cheap. So I put in a switch in Atlanta that people could call a number in Atlanta, hang up, and it would call you back, and you'd get U.S. dial tone, and then you could make calls anywhere in the world with U.S. prices. They hated it there, the telecoms, but the customers loved it. So when I sold that company to an Atlanta company, and then started working for them in 2000. 2001 was a telecom bubble, and then in 2001 I started Avaya. I mean, not Avaya. I'll think of it. It was called Dow Networks, but it changed names. It's called Avoxy now. So we started Avoxy, and Avoxy is a call center software, mostly voice oriented, and it's mostly for that agent overseas who's calling into America, but also America call centers that need international toll-free numbers. So that was my first, second startup, and that was 2001 to 2016, and then 2016 I started Call Center Pros. I thought in Call Center Pros, I thought there was going to be a bigger move toward text-based conversation, less voice, and more emails, chat, social media, all the new types of dialogue. And so that's what Call Center Pros is out there looking for, those type of software solutions to help the call center.
Wow. So, James, it's accurate to pretty much say that you're also an entrepreneur.
I guess so. I guess so. You don't really think of it when you're in the middle of it, but yeah.
That's cool. I love talking to entrepreneurs. People have that entrepreneurial gene because we find problems and we don't see problems. We see solutions a lot of times. And how do we bridge that gap? So I love talking to people whose brain work that way, even if they're not in an unofficial, entrepreneurial type of role, just to talk to and understand the brain of people who think that way. So AI has been developing. You have, Call Center Pros, and AI has been really kind of developing. And for those of you that are watching and you don't know what we're talking about when we say AI is artificial intelligence. And before we kind of really go deeper into that, James, tell us more about artificial intelligence and your experience working with it.
Yeah, so basics of AI started in the 1950s, more rules-based. But just to solve those common problems that are in mass. So anything that's highly repetitive, now machines can help with. So when you say AI, there's also another important thing you really need to include. It's ML,
Mm,
machine learning.
machine
So
learning.
AI and machine learning. So AI is where you teach the machine to do what humans do. AI learns from the humans. So every day you want AI to get smarter, but that's done through machine learning. So
Yeah. And
that's
that's
kind of
really
the
good that
gist of
you
it.
put that together, because I think that that is very key. That it's not good enough to just really kind of focus on the AI part of it, but the machine learning, because we want the technology to continue to advance and get better and better with each iteration. That
Mhm.
way, our people who are doing the process type stuff or doing the heavy lifting stuff can move on to more complex type of
Right.
task, right? The more the machines are learning, then the more it frees us to do more of the complex type of things, the reasoning, the deducing, and all that good stuff.
Exactly. So, what you realize is it might have started out as a refund, but then you realize refunds don't cover everything. There's replacements. And then there's replacements for VIP customers and
Mm.
and not VIP customers. So every day you're learning all those little nuances of something slightly different.
Yeah, that's good. I love that you said that, because think about how that changes the customer interaction, right? When a customer calls and the rep is processing a refund, or the technology is processing a refund, and it automatically knows, hey, process this refund. Based on the type of customer that you are, you get this type of replacement, or you get this type of incentive, or whatever the case may be. It just knows that now I'm freed up as an agent to do more complex things, you know.
Right.
So I love that you honed in on that.
And
What
also you
place?
could trigger, oh, go ahead.
No, go.
You could also trigger workflows. So, for this replacement, you need to know the product, you need to know the serial number, you need to know these six key information. And sometimes agents, will put in 5 out of 6 and try to slip it on through. But if you could kind of force that agent to be compliant and do the right thing and get all 6 points, and then you could create a workflow so it's no longer on the agent. He's done everything. He put in his 6 parts. He never has to follow up. He never has to go find a supervisor and tap her on the shoulder. Everything's done at that point. So that's where you want it to be.
Yeah, and imagine, so one of my questions was going to be, where do we think the place is of AI in call centers today? So where AI has begun to where it's
Hmm.
developed now to where we see it going. What place do you think AI has in the contact center?
We look at it as three main things. So, first of all, AI classifies. So, AI understands the type of question and puts it in a category. And then AI extracts the relevant information based off that classification. So, we know it's a refund. So, we're going to look for these information. And then we're going to go into that third party system, pull that information to cut down on search time. It's always frustrating for agents to have to deal with searching and finding that right answer. So if we can provide that answer before they even open up the email, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Oh,
And what does that do, right? That saves us so much time with, things that we measure in contact centers. The supervisors are measuring, the workforce teams are
mhm.
measuring things like handle time, right? First call resolution. That probably saves us a lot of time in those things. And that's how we begin to measure the impacts of AI.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Tell me, what do you think? I know the answer, or I think I know the answer to this question, but outside of just the obvious, like some of the things that I just talked about, the impacts of AI, what are some of the other benefits to leveraging artificial intelligence in a contact center?
another one is improved accuracy. So the answers and more uniform answers as well. So a lot of times marketing is handling Facebook questions where that really should be call center.
Mm.
Uh, so when a Facebook question comes in, marketing they'll throw out everything to please the customer, right? Because they're marketing people. Where call center people, have, this is the type of question, this is the answer, this is the solution. So bringing those separate silos that marketing might be handling for Twitter, direct messaging, Facebook Messenger, all those things that marketing started working on, but really become, existing customers that are now using those, social media channels. So to pull those separate silos from being separate silos into one software, that's where you want to be.
That's really good. Because as you say that, I'm thinking through, like my United Healthcare days and just different days when I was actually working in contact centers as like an agent or as the workforce management manager of those departments. And I would think about days where a marketing campaign may have gotten released and we didn't know anything about it. And the volume would tend to spike up drastically, right? And it's like we didn't know that a campaign was getting released. And I'm thinking about how AI would have been very beneficial in those instances where the campaign is released, the volume's coming in, but because of the AI, the type of AI or how we did the workflows or whatever the case may have been, how we would have probably been better prepared to handle those calls, which even though the calls would have spiked up, the average handle time would have probably remained consistent because we would have had the information at our fingertips.
You're so right. A good example was AI doesn't use reporting like a human would. A human goes in there looking for a particular problem to solve, where AI is looking for everything all the time. So when a supervisor sees there's a new topic or new words that are popping up or new questions that have never been seen before, that's what you really want to see.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay. Because I have this saying, especially when I'm like data diving, people are like, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll know when I see it.
Right.
It's because I usually look at data a little bit differently. Like you said, most times when people are looking at data, they're going in and they're looking for a particular thing. They're looking for the data to tell the story that they went in to look for. The reason we're missing service level is because attendance, or we're missing it because of this. And so they go into the data looking for the data to support what it is that they're saying. And I go into data looking at it a little bit differently. I go into the data just looking. And what the data then tells me is what I, bring my, hypothesis to and draw my conclusions based on what the data told me, not what I went in to look for to support. Right. And it sounds like from what you're saying with AI takes that same type of approach. It just goes in and looks through the lens of everything without any biases, without any opinions, and then it gives you back data in a way that you can digest.
You use the word we use, so we're removing the human bias. That's what AI is able to do. So, for instance, last week, a lady said, we had a ton of calls come in about where's my invoice. And, we were like, what happened? Why are these people? They never ask us where their invoice is. They did an update on their website and removed that where's my invoice tracking button, and so. As soon as they added it back, that 50% of all those new calls just dropped off immediately.
Wow.
So to be able to find the problem, the supervisor seeing it black and white in a report, like this new question that just came in today, where's my invoice, and immediately solved, so just satisfaction right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. You had me when you talked about, you had me right there. So you were telling me about ThinkOwl. Tell me more about ThinkOwl. I'm super excited to learn about ThinkOwl, what it does, and how it incorporates the AI functionality.
Yeah, so there's probably 4 or 5 different places where we use actual AI. Some of it's rules-based. So when email comes in, I'm going to talk about emails, but It could be a chat. It could be a messenger. It could be any kind of fax. It could be traditional scanned letters. So there are a lot of portal questions that come in from your portal, from a different person's portal. Maybe they're working with Angie's List or something like that. So when any kind of text-based dialogue comes in, we're classifying it, extracting and enriching from third-party systems. So I've already talked about that. But then we start suggesting answers. So that's true AI. And so when we're able to suggest the best answer, it becomes a one-click reply. So the agent is more like a mail merge at that point, where the dear Susan, from James, all the body in the question, we're looking for invoice, and here we go. So the whole email is crafted. All they have to do is get a one-click reply. But the email's open, so they could change it. So if they want to add something new, say, I'm going to attach this document, a refund document or damage document or something else. I would learn and get smarter and then start suggesting that document when this type of email comes in.
To the agent. So that's really cool. I want to step down on that. Okay. So in a contact center environment where I have a shared email box, right?
Right.
And I have agents that work this shared email box, whether it's claims or whatever the case may be. They open up the email box. Oh, I have two questions actually now. They open up the email, and based on what's in the email, ThinkOwl will then give me like some kind of one-click reply of what I should be responding. Am I understanding that?
You've got it perfect, right? And then if you are a beginner agent and you make a change to that email, maybe you put a smiley face on there, we're not going to learn that. But if you're an advanced agent and we trust your abilities, we're going to learn from you.
That's cool. So another real life, I'm about to get excited, James. Okay, I need a demo. We're gonna sidebar this for our private conversations. I need a demo of this, but another question that I have is around with the shared inbox, right? You could tell I've been an agent or I've ran these teams, right? Another pain point that I've experienced in running back office or, people who work, the email queue, right, is that a lot of times what comes in that box sometimes is spam or different things like that. How does ThinkOwl handle that?
Yeah, so we could create rules. So a lot of times it's not just spam, but it's those automated replies that come from a machine somewhere for some back office solution. Maybe Salesforce is kicking out a email back and forth to the agent. And that's just noise. So we can remove all the noise and have it just where the agent's getting what they want to see, what they need to see. And also there's another point. When you have an Outlook inbox, people cherry pick. They want that sales and they don't want the service, right? Or people double try and two people are answering one question and nobody's answering another question. And we've got great analytics and reporting and KPIs on voice, but we have nothing on Outlook. And everybody thought it would get better when people moved to Office 365, but group boxes are actually worse than 365.
So I was actually going to ask about the cherry picking. So how does it solve for cherry picking? Agents all have access to the shared inbox. How does it solve for that?
A lot of call centers will have it that all the emails go to a supervisor and the supervisor allocates them through the team for the best person. That's another thing that AI does. So we learn who's the best agent for this type of question. So we're going to make that one agent really busy answering those type of questions. But the other easier questions might go to a whole different group, just to have their eyes on it. So depending on the skill level, so there's SLA, there's skill-based, there's a lot of different complex routing just to get to that right agent. So an agent never gets to see all all the emails. They're only seeing what emails are pushed to them, just like an agent doesn't see all the phone calls. They just get the one phone call pushed to them.
So with ThinkOwl, you're saying that I can, I'm really interested in this, right? So with ThinkOwl, the emails come into a shared box that then are routed to the agent based on skill set, based on the type of email that has come in. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Exactly.
That's
And
cool.
not only that, the agent can actually see other cases that were very similar to this. So able to pull up thousands of emails that were answered, even if it doesn't have a response. Maybe this question just came in, like you said earlier, marketing made that switch, made that change, gave a sale or whatever, and nobody's prepared for it. A supervisor can go in and create an answer, or ThinkOwl can start creating. Once it sees about 6 of these new questions and the response, AI will start learning those and suggesting that without the agent even doing anything. But the agent can actually fine tune it and make that reply even better and more concrete, more solid. So yeah,
That's
both
crazy.
options of learning. Yeah.
That's crazy. And that works with Outlook.
We work with Outlook boxes, but you're going to have a ThinkOwl interface. It looks like Outlook, so you're not thrown off. It's just got some stuff on the right that's all the research, and stuff on the left, which is AI. So AI would be suggesting experts that might be able to help you. You can have a little direct chat with them, close cases that were similar, response, and then also finding that right document to attach. So it will suggest what documents need to be attached. And a lot of times agents have old documents and forms and letters and things on their PC that shouldn't be there or shouldn't be, their last year's documents. So with ThinkOwl, we could force them not to get documents from their own PC, but documents that are company approved and most relevant and most recent.
Nice. So it also helps them with compliance, because that was going to be one of my next questions around how do we ensure compliance, and how is ThinkOwl helping like the agents day to day, like just making their life easier and helping them to be able to helping them get through their workload and making their life just much easier.
Right. Well, all the things we're doing make your life easier. So helping with understand the question, getting the research for them, and then pushing that in a response that's already tailored and ready to go. So generally we see minimum 25% savings in headcount.
Wow.
Not necessarily people want to cut heads, and that's not what ThinkOwl's about. We're really there to make them be able to do more so they can spend more time on those beneficial things for the company, right? You don't want the call center to be the cost center. You want it to be the profit center.
Right.
So,
yeah,
be able to answer those humdrum emails gives them more time to do those, great things.
Yeah. And it's so key what you just, touched on there. Many times the contact center is viewed as that cost center instead of, being that center that actually can drive and pull in revenue, because you think about if the contact center is the place where your customers call and they reach out to you, that's their main place of interaction with your brand, then that should really be the driving force of driving additional sources of revenue, right? Because if you think about when you go to Chick-fil-A, or you think about you go to all these brands that we absolutely love their brand, right? We go, and because of the interaction that we have with the cashier or the greeter or whomever, right, we go back again, right? Otherwise, if the experience was just so horrible, we would just be like, I like the brand, but I can't do it. Right. And so the same thing with the contact center. It's not so much that it's a cost center. It is that it can sometimes be ran inefficiently, and then it makes the agent's job very daunting. And so they're not happy. They're not excited to serve the customer. And I believe it was Cameron. Oh my gosh, Cameron's show. He said the agent will never treat the customer better than they are being treated. Right. And so he was talking about from an agent experience perspective of like, what kind of shifts are we getting? How are they being treated as far as work? But we think about even the technology that we're investing in our companies and putting in front of the agent so that we can make their jobs and their lives easier. That's all a part of the agent experience. And that agent experience and then turns into better customer experiences, which then drives additional revenue. Right.
And people are now, all companies are judged on Amazon standards. So you don't have 48 hours to reply to an email.
No.
And you don't, it's not acceptable anymore. I mean, 2 hours is kind of the new norm, and you want to beat that. So, how quick should you reply to, I've had banks that, you try to do messenger with them and, their reply is 30 minutes. Can you imagine playing tennis where it takes 30 minutes to lob the ball across the net?
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
And as soon as you go to the bathroom and you're gone for 30 seconds, they disconnected the whole call, right?
Yeah.
And it's not the agent's fault. It's they're just not set up for it. And so our AI is to work with humans and make humans better, faster, smarter.
Yeah, I love that. The AI is meant to work with humans to make them faster, smarter, better. I love that. Yeah. Absolutely love that. Tell me, so I'm super interested again. I'm just kind of flabbergasted about your story on, being in the wheelchair and that whole story. I want to understand more about, one of the missions of the show is to normalize women in tech and diversity, women in leadership, and all those different things. So I'm super interested to hear your perspective on how being a vet and how being now disabled, that has kind of shaped your perspective on diversity and the Think Owl and how it's leveraging, how it's changing the contact center dynamics. What are some of your thoughts on your perspectives versus before?
I think call center jobs are great jobs, especially for, people that are missing limbs or severe burns, that want to be able to work from home. And that's one thing, the blessing from COVID is we now realize how many workers can work from home now. And that veteran that's a shut-in can now work from home and be productive and feel great about themselves and still bring home good income. So, being a disabled veteran, for me, it hadn't slowed me down. If anything, it's empowered me. I've been to 40 countries when I was with a Voxie in a wheelchair. So,
wow.
Yeah. South Africa, Zimbabwe, all over Europe, China, Macau, Hong Kong.
That is amazing. Philippines.
Yeah.
So tell me how Think Owl, so with the development of AI and talking about machine learning, one of the beautiful things about AI and machine learning is that it removes, or it should remove, the bias. And I think it might have been Hosanna from Microsoft on one of the shows. She talked about the technology isn't biased in and of itself. It is, just a reflection of society, the creator, who's creating it. And so when we're thinking about people who are making our technologies and implementing them into our contact centers, how is AI, how has Think Owl really kind of tackled, or have they at all? This is a fairly new topic that we're beginning to talk about with DE&I. How has Think Owl really kind of tackled some of those things to make sure that the technology is unbiased, it is continually to learn from the data versus maybe other influences?
I haven't really thought of it in that way. but I'm sure you're right. I wouldn't even know where to start on that.
James
I'm
was like, I
sorry,
wasn't ready for that one.
I was not. I'm not.
Because what I'm interested in, I love technology. So I'm always interested, especially, I guess, from having a background going into different companies and installing and doing the training on tools like Varen and Aspect and different things like that. Same piece of tool can be configured so many different ways for different use cases. And I always got this thing from companies that I trained. They would be, man, my ability to train it beyond the technology, right? From a use case perspective, because I worked in call centers as an agent. I used to be an agent. So,
Right.
and I used to actually manage workforce management teams. So I used to be a real-time analyst. I used to be a scheduler. I used to be a forecaster. I built out the command center for United Healthcare. So I have use case of why you would be doing a certain thing. So when I would go into contact centers and train, contact centers on their Verint solution that they just bought or the Aspect solution that they just bought, one of the common things that I always got was, man, Juanita, your ability to train this beyond a tech perspective. Like, I'm not just configuring the solution. It's, okay, you would want to do this like this because the use case for this is going to be this. And this is what you're undoubtedly going to run into. Right. Came from my ability, my diversity of experience, right? So I think a lot of times we stop the conversation of diversity with just, race, but it's diversity in, experience, your diversity of being a vet, all those different things. You have all these different experiences that you're going to bring with you and add value. Right. As you're now thinking about ThinkOwl and AI, and you're going into a company and installing it or training a company on it of, hey, as a vet and, as a disabled vet and, having this experience, maybe you want to think about the consumer from this perspective or your, whomever. And so I'm always interested in technology. Right. On how they're taking diversity and infusing it, it would be infusing it in their tool and in their functionality. Does that make sense?
It does. I would say one thing common with all vets is the mission. Understanding the mission, understanding the end goal, and finding the best way to achieve that. That's what vets do. That's what all military guys or girls are trained to look for that solution, improvise and make it happen. So that's one thing that I think vets are really good at doing. I'm not saying anybody else can't do that, but that's how their mind works. That's how they've been trained and conditioned with all their experience in the military. So, it's just hard to think about, my years in, running a company day to day. I always thought of myself as, the main thing was the height difference, being in a meeting where 4 people are standing up and I'm like this. And, now I've got 9-year-old kids that are, I'm looking up to twins. So, it's, for me, it's the height challenge. I wish I had a chair that would stand up and put me on that level. So I don't know. It's, from a wheelchair point of view, it's, the company picnic, is it going to be on rocks and out in the park that I can't even get to? Or, it's a lot of those little things that you don't really think about. Like, is the toilet actually accessible? Or do I have to go up 3 floors to find a bathroom that works? And usually the bathroom that's kind of hidden, that's the same bathroom people want to go read a story, read a book or magazine and take off a couple hours. And, the guy in that wheelchair is like, this is the only stall I can use.
Right. This is the only one. Get out.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same in call centers. I worked in call centers as well, not as in a wheelchair, but, I worked for Dial America. We called it dialing for dollars. But
dialing for dollars.
That's what we called it. So that put me through college, or at least a couple of years of college. Yeah.
That's crazy. With Call Center Pros, tell me because I actually found you guys on LinkedIn, and
hmm
I'm part of Call Center Pros. Tell me more about. I haven't been in there recently. Tell me about some of the things that are you guys doing events, or it's more like a resource group, right, for contact center professionals, right?
It is. So it's a resource group. I'm very interested in starting a campaign. It's been around since 2008. So I think there's about close to 15,000 members. The main thing I do is I monitor the message board, making sure I don't like people posting more than once a day. They're kind of monopolizing the board is how I look at it. So I also make sure that it's not too salesy. I'm trying to encourage people to, write articles that will be useful and helpful. Those are the things that we're doing at Call Center Pros as the LinkedIn website group. And it is a lot more leadership focused. So at the beginning, for the first 5 years, I barred any agent. So it was only management and above. Uh, so so my group is smaller than other call center oriented groups, but I think you'll see the leadership is much more heavily stacked as far as C-level people,
And what's the
leadership.
goal with that? What's the goal with having it more leadership than frontline?
Right. I started another group, for workforce management pros, and there's another one, work from home pros, WFM pros. So I wanted to create those other type of groups for agents, but I wanted to have the main thing, for the call center is the leadership, because everything comes down from, leadership is supervisor on up. So, you might not have 50,000 people in the group, but you might have more, um, less transient people in the group, if that makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely can see that. And then I think leaders need a place to kind of bounce their ideas off of, like, hey, am I tripping? Like, this is what I said in my coaching session today, or this is where I'm leading the contact center. What do you guys think? So I can definitely see that. I can definitely see a need, because one of the things that, again, our goal here with the show is to definitely normalize women in technology and leadership roles and all those different things. And I remember being an agent, taking phone calls, and I got my start because I actually picked up a manual. It was a Blue Pumpkin manual at the time, and I found it very interesting. And so it was through that I kind of got bit by the workforce management bug, and was open to the whole world of kind of call center operations and all that different stuff. And at the time,
Blue
I hadn't.
Pumpkin was huge. I mean, back in the day, it was just spreadsheets, and Blue Pumpkin was it. I mean,
Yeah,
weren't they bought by Avaya, or who were they bought
Variant.
by? Variant, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what made Variant so powerful. Really, it was.
It's insane.
Yeah. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just thinking about the other group that you were mentioning about, having agents that are a part of. And I'm actually in one group on Facebook that has some agents in it. And it's always interesting to kind of hear their perspectives. It actually gives me some thoughts for different shows sometimes on, like, hey, have you thought about getting involved in technology, or a role that's outside of just taking the phone call? Or, I think it's sometimes, I hate to say just taking phone calls, because that may be your thing. Customer
Right.
service, it takes a skill set to serve, and service is service, whether you're serving at the forefront level or whether you're serving at an executive or leadership level, service is service. You have to have a heart to serve, period. And so I would love to see more groups around that and more groups around talking specifically to, people who are looking to just get more resources around contact centers and information, which is one of the points of the show, is to kind of, give more information around contact centers and, how we are working and how the contact center industry is just evolving every single day. It's just changing and changing and changing. That's right. And I think the pandemic is accelerating that.
It probably is. Technology-wise, it is. It's hard to be an agent with a legacy Avaya 400. Working from home.
For sure.
You just can't do it. Where does that big recording box go?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So I can't believe that we're already at 47. It doesn't seem like we've been talking that long.
No.
It doesn't seem like we've been talking that long.
Right.
But you dropped so many different, nuggets today, and gems. Leave us with, James, your nugget for today. If you just had to give us one good nugget, what would it be?
When I was first injured, when I was leaving the VA, a doctor told me, he said, being in a wheelchair, you need to be assertive and speak up for yourself more so now than ever. And I think it's the same with any group you're talking about. If it's any type of diversity out there, you need to be able to speak up for yourself in a positive way, prove that you can do the job, and do the best you can will take you so far.
That is gold, baby. That is gold. Be able to speak up for yourself in a positive way. Do the work, right? Just prove that you can do the work and show up and do it, right?
Right.
I think that is so phenomenal because, it can be a task, to, especially for someone like me. Most people don't normally get this, but I am an introvert. I am an introvert all day long. Put me behind the computer, give me some numbers to crunch, a strategy to put together, and I'm happy, right? It's these type of things that really kind of take me out of my comfort zone, but I love them because I love meeting new people and I love kind of hearing different perspectives. And so what you're saying to me is in anything, right? Whether it's in the topic of diversity, breaking into new genres, new industries, whether you have some kind of disadvantage, is you must be assertive. You must show up and do the work and do it well. I heard you say, do it to the best of your ability. That is gold. That is gold.
Right. Yep.
Gold. Well, thank you, James, so much for hanging out with us today. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Hang out with me in the green room really quickly, and I'm going to wrap the show and thank everybody for coming on. I'll be with you in a moment, okay?
Thank you.
So y'all heard it here first, okay? James came through and gave us all of the good nuggets, talking about what he's doing over at CallCenterPros. So if you definitely need if you're in leadership and you need a resource, I highly encourage you to join the LinkedIn group, CallCenterPros. Also talking about ThinkOwl and AI, the place that AI has in the contact center realm, how it's going to improve effectiveness and efficiency so that agents can, do more complex tasks. AI is one of those things that, and then coupling that, so I got caught mid-thought there. You guys know how I do. AI and machine learning. I thought that was so powerful when he pointed that out, because so many times people don't. AI, artificial intelligence, going hand in hand with the machine learning. So yes, it's okay for us to build the workflows and tell the system what to do automatically, but is it going to learn though? Is it going to learn? Am I going to have to keep building workflows every single time? So that was good. That was so good to me. But how does that take us into the next place of, these evolving contact centers and helping agents to really go to the next level? being able to do more complex tasks and move on. And I think AI and machine learning definitely has a place in the future of our contact centers as it stands today. I'm super excited about the Think Out technology. Trust me, I will be getting a demo. Okay. So I'll be coming back to you guys with that. But thank you so much for tuning in with us today. Make sure that you guys are on next week for our guests. We are talking with Kelly over at Variant. Super excited. Y'all know when we have tech guests, I have to keep myself together because I love getting into technology. So make sure that you guys tune in with us next week, Tuesday, same time, same date, same time. All right, guys. Talk to y'all later. Bye.